Everybody. Just trying to adjust this shirt. I want to talk about wants and requirements and looking for somebody. I see a lot of single people talking about compromising their requirements. And I used to be one of those people with a mile long list of specific stuff that I wanted. Um, but I learned that when love is real and when it actually happens, the person you get with is not going to meet all of the things on your list. You're lucky if they meet all of the requirements that matter. But the wants, like physical wants, are kind of not as important. However, when I tell somebody that's single, they don't hear that. They hear that they have to just throw away their whole list of requirements and not want anything and just accept anybody who comes along. And that's not even what I'm saying. I'm saying that I literally know no one in a relationship who has somebody that has everything they wanted. A lot of people want a guy with blonde hair and blue eyes, and ended up with somebody with brown hair and brown eyes. But they don't feel like they settled. They still happy, and that's kind of like how life works. It's you lists are good to go by as a template, to have as a template on your search for somebody, but just understand that when you find the one, they're not going to have everything on that list. It's actually a mathematical improbability too. And I think a good analogy for that is the lottery. So the lottery just has 6 balls or 7 or something like that. And y'all know it's hard as hell to match up all those balls to win the prize. So think of it like that. If you're lucky, you'll get half or even maybe 3/4 of what you're asking for. But in some other areas, you may have to compromise, or you will have to compromise. Everybody does. Okay. I love to cook, and I always wanted somebody that I could cook for and make all these exotic dishes and things of that sort. Now I'm with somebody who likes mashed potatoes from the box, like, and will not eat green vegetables. It doesn't matter how it's cooked, how it's mixed in. Does that irk me? Absolutely. But I love him. I gotta deal with it. You know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna be like, oh, you know what? I gotta dump him because my idea that I had in mind was I'm gonna be with somebody. I'm gonna be in the house cooking and feeding him all my exotic dishes and blah blah. He just doesn't like that stuff. He's a human being. You can't. People need to quit with this idea that you can order up somebody like you're ordering a burger or something like that. I want this on it. I want that on it. I don't want that. I want wheat bread. I want da da da. Doesn't work like that. People are so unique that, I mean, you really just have to prioritize the things on your list to what's from most important to least important. And if you're smart, the superficial stuff won't be number 1 on, or number 2 or number 3 on the list. I mean, yes, you have to find someone attractive. You have to be attracted to them somewhat. But I think it makes it harder or close to impossible for people who are so extra specific that it doesn't leave any room for anyone else. Like, there was some guy I saw on a talk show once. I don't know if it was Steve Harvey or something else. And he had this list that was like 30 things long. And he would go on these dates. He would just went on date like 30 dates at a time. Like, or on a weekend, he would just line up dates. And if they didn't match every single demand on his list, he just would dismiss them. There's no telling how many good matches he could have thrown out. He's not going to find anybody, you guys, until he relaxes some of that stuff. Nobody's going to get everything on their list. And usually when someone is like so insistent on getting everything on a list, you can tell they've been hurt in the past. Like women maybe who've been used by men they're the most vocal about he's got to have a job, he's got to have money, a car. I don't have time to take him around everywhere. And I understand. I've been there. I've driven bums around. I had people living up in my house, not paying rent and stuff like that. So I completely understand that. But then, those requirements. But like, if people are like, he's got to have blue eyes because I want my kid to have blue eyes and things of that sort. If those are the things that are at the front of the line for your requirements, you may get somebody that has all those physical requirements and you're still not going to be happy because that person is not going to be a match for you, like on a spiritual level. They might have all this superficial, they may have the money, they may have the hot car, the status, and everything else, but there may be some other things that are very, very important to you that you're not willing to compromise on that you won't get. There is a girl that's on one of them Basketball Wives shows or whatever. I'm not going to say her name. But I feel like she's literally spent her whole life searching for a baller. And it never works out. Like, it just doesn't work out. And she grew up poor and everything. So I understand her looking for a rich man because she wants to be secure and safe. But I think she's had several high profile relationships with professional athletes. It's like, she's like, maybe on her list, she wants to be a baller's wife. She has to have a professional athlete. And I think God is just saying, it's not for you, ma'am. Like, the person for you is just not a professional athlete. But she keeps trying and trying and trying. And I think to the extent that people are kind of hard-headed and not hard-headed, but like super, super rigid about the specific job that the person does and other things of that sort, the harder they make it on themselves. And I'm going to tell you, the person that I'm with now, I didn't want him at first because he didn't meet all the requirements. And in fact, I told him numerous of times that we're not compatible. He'll tell you, we're not compatible. There's no point in talking. We're not compatible. And so I had known him a number of years before we started dating, but I was like, no way. And I'm sure he was looking at me the same way. He was like, no, because there was things that he wanted, that he liked in a woman. And I'm completely opposite of all of that. Sure, he didn't see himself with a girl with like a huge forehead or, whatever. I'm sure I'm not what he imagined, but we're together. I mean, I don't think he felt like he settled. Guess you'd have to ask him, but I feel like we're happy. So, and everyone else, like, I know people who be like, oh, I want a light-skinned girl with long hair and blah, blah, blah. And the next time you see them, they with a woman that's like chocolate skin and it has like a short natural haircut. But they're happy, like, and I think too, with maturity comes, I remember when I was like 30 or 29, and there was this guy in his late 30s, and he was like, look, when you get to a certain age, you're just looking somebody to settle down with, make a life with, and move forward with. But that doesn't mean you're settling. It doesn't mean that you just give up and you don't care. It just means that your priorities change and you're looking for someone stable to be with and to build a life with. And you can wait for the person with all of the traits that you want and tell yourself, I'm not settling, but at the end of the day, number one, you're not perfect. And there's going to be some not so great things about you that somebody else is going to have to accept. Okay? And number two, if you're looking for superficial things, such as I want a guy who's a baller, or I want to be with a guy that's in the military, I want to be this, those are things that can go away. The person could get kicked out of the military. They could retire from the military. If your whole thing is about to be being a military wife, it can go away. Or, if he's a professional athlete, he could get dropped from his team. And then all of a sudden, you're not a baller's wife anymore. You're just with a guy who used to be a baller, who's unemployed now. So look for the important things. Look for good character, please. Let that be number one on your list. Good character. Good character. And everything else, and things that are like that matter, like having paying their own way through life. Not everybody's going to be employed. Some people are self-employed. Some people are independently rich and they don't have to work. But as long as they are not relying on you, is what you're saying, and somebody that has some money to their name, they're not like dead broke and going to be hitting you up for money all the time with no car, and then you have to give them rides everywhere. Those are all very basic things, and yes, you should ask for those. But don't be like those ridiculous people where they're like, oh, he wore dad jeans, so I have to dump him. It's like, really? Girl, buy him some jeans for his birthday and just tell him he looked better in that. If it were me, I'd be like, look, babe, clothes are a little bit dated. Let's go shopping together. Anyway, I'm going to end it here. Thanks for watching. Bye.